especially with a high-end technology like smartphones, it shouldn't cost much more to produce them while saving on warranties, companies, and then of course the ecological damage.
So I'm imagining codes spinning spider webs or goat webs?
Well, it's actually one of the researchers that we emailed with found a way to make them produce some of the proteins in their milk, and then they refine the milk to try to get the silk.
Yes. Are there other materials that could perform a similar function as
While there are similar materials such as Kevlar, they lack they're not quite as strong. Silkscreen has the tensile strength that is superior, and in addition, they lack things that make it applicable to the smartphone, such as the translucence and.
Yeah, I mean, because as much as we want to keep it green and we want to keep that as a focus, at the same time, if a product is not viable in terms of being a consumer product and in terms of the company wanting to sell their product and market it, it's never going to fly. And that's why the transparency of the spider silk is a good option.
So in your testing method, you were also testing these Kevlar fibers. Can you say a little bit more about that? We're putting Kevlar leaves on top and dropping things onto it, or dropping the foam inside?
Well, what we did is instead of dropping the foam, because you're not guaranteed a regular, like the consistent, the same exact drop every single time, we had a little rig with a ring stand and a tube. And we would put a dowel through a tube with weight on it, and then that way we would drop the same way. We dropped it on the foam because it's the same impact, and we corresponded with our integrated science teacher and physics teacher about this, as dropping it on the ground face down. And so we did that. We did 4 control tests from dropping 20 centimeters from the ground, 25, 30, and 35. And then we had 1 screen left, and so we decided to try a prototype on it. We're at the 25, because that's the first place it broke, and it prevented the damage. But then we had limited resources, so that's all we could do. Ideally, if we had more screens, we would have done a comparison test for every one of the levels.
And just to specify with the particular silk, because we mentioned a bit at our booth, but spiders actually produce, I think, about 7 different types of silk, and the one that we'd be looking at specifically would be the dragline, which is the strongest. And it's basically, what makes it so strong is that it has a certain protein composition that the bonds between them are incredible, considering the material and the fact that it's just produced by this little animal. And so I just figured that we'd specify that we were looking at dragline in particular to use for this.
In addition, it's not exclusively the material that makes our product unique. It's the structure which was also inspired by the golden orb spider's webs. The actual web structure, which isolates damage and has adapted itself to reduce the size of damage.
Yeah, so essentially what we'd be doing is sort of a compressed, we have a model here. I don't know if you can see it. We weaved a Kevlar spider web for our model.
It's difficult.
And it'd be essentially a compressed version of the golden orb spider's web itself.
Yes.
I personally actually wasn't really aware of some of the harmful things that can come from, say, iPhone and explosive. Was this something that you guys all knew about before you started the project, or was it sort of like as you began designing this, you kind of became this like added bonus and you discovered that it would solve this problem?
It was kind of both. Actually, we started like a little recycled phone drive at our school, so people could bring in like iPods, phones, any electronics they want to get rid of, and we'd send them to a recycling plant that would dispose of them safely. And so we heard of that, and then we kind of, as we started the project, went further into it.
And the more we looked into it, the more we learned that it's actually a severe hazard.
Yeah, we essentially went into it knowing that waste was produced and that we could prevent some of the waste caused by cell phones. We didn't realize the extent, though. Like that one fact that it's 158,200 gallons of water polluted by one cell phone battery. It's incredible. And so what was really cool is that by doing this recycling program that we did, it, one, helped spread awareness through our school, but 2, also gave us the phone screens that we could use for our experiments. So we got those, and so it was sort of, it was like a trifold recycling thing. We were sending them in there, we were using them, and we were recycling those again, which was pretty cool. It tied in well.
You might have said this on your website, but can you refresh my memory? Were there any figures on
there's no evidence to suggest how many of those are improperly disposed, but it can be reasonably conjectured that it is quite a few of them.
Yeah, and the broken screens are the top cause of that. Just because they're the weakest point, and when you drop it, what's the first thing to break? I mean, people know not to keep their phones around water. People know, you know, what they can and can't do with their phones, but at the same time, you can't help if, you know, you're startled by a business pitch. Thank you.
Very good.